He holds a PhD in natural sciences from University of Koblenz from Germany. And he got his master's degree at the University of Rwanda in biodiversity conservation. His research interest lies in the use of biological indicators, including butterflies, for monitoring ecosystem health. He has been involved in biodiversity studies in various ecological zones of Rwanda, and he is currently running an innovative project of community-based butterfly farming at Ibanda Makera permanent forest for rural community livelihood improvement, forest biodiversity conservation, and climate change mitigation. He is also a research associate at Center of Excellence in Biodiversity and Natural Resource Management at the University of Rwanda. So allow me welcome Dr. Jean Dodier to proceed with his presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Constantin, for this introduction. And are you hearing me?
Yes, of course.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, I'm Jean Dodier, and then maybe can show my old face. Some of you can see me. Hello, everyone. Now, as Constante said, now I'm a conservation biologist, and then I'm lecturer at University of Rwanda, and also research associated to the Center of Excellence in Biodiversity and Natural Resource Management. And then today, was happy to share with you some of the projects we designed now to improve the community livelihood. Yeah, and also for biodiversity conservation. And I can start sharing you maybe my presentation, and will be yeah. And can you see my PowerPoint, my presentation here? Are you seeing the PowerPoint?
Yes, the slide is shared.
Yeah, the slide is shared.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I hear some voice. Maybe you can check if someone is unmuted.
I would like to request everyone who is not presenting to just mute the microphone and let Jean Dodier speak.
Yeah. Okay. Now, are you hearing me? Now, yeah. Now, thank you. This is the community livelihood improvement and biodiversity protection through butterfly farming. And through this presentation, I'm gonna take you, telling you a little bit background of the project and then why did we have this idea to design such a project, and then what problem we were about to solve or the contribution we were trying to make, and then some of the preliminary results, and then maybe by the end we'll be having any kind of exchange, the input or advice. What do you think from because this was a feasibility study, some of your input or suggestion how the project should be implemented as we were thinking. Now, from the beginning, now we know we have a problem of forest fragmentation in the tropical region, and then which is major problem for the biodiversity loss or decline. And this not only maybe generally in a tropical region, but from the region with a high population density, like our country, Rwanda, we have a problem. We can see the sum of the forest, the natural forest have been converted into small remnant, the fragment, and then these fragmented forests, you can see them, they are like an island, the human-dominated landscape. And mostly, if I take example from Rwanda, you can find those forests, they are surrounded by agriculture. And this is a big problem because we can know from this forest fragment, it's the only refugium for biodiversity, as the anthropogenic activities, the urbanization, and the agriculture is increasing. This is small remnant forest is the only refugia where the biodiversity, the remaining of species can escape or can take refuge. And then from across the country, the Rwanda, we have many fragmented forests, but the case in Eastern Province, we have a critically, this one, and danger, a critical, a threatened the fragmented forest called the Ibanda Makera. And then this is only threatened by anthropogenic activities, but also we have issue of climate fluctuation or variability. And then this region experience long drought period compared to other regions within in the country, in Rwanda. And then with the anthropogenic threats combined with the climate variation, this recent assessment by Rwanda Environment Management Authority has classified this forest as critically endangered, and then which needs really call upon for its protection, the diligent protection, the enforced protection. The protection was there, established by the status by the REMA, as I said, the Rwanda Environment Management Authority, and currently we have the few people that are protecting the forest, but without local support that are surrounding the forest, that's a big problem. Because we if you use 10 or to 10 to 20 or X number for protecting the forest, that's you can't have your a sustainable protection if the local on surrounding the local community on surrounding the forest they are not taking a part, and then they have willingness, and then they own it, the activity of protecting it. And then this also the mostly for biodiversity conservation, the people surrounding protected areas, they don't destroy the forest because they don't like it, but see only alternative they have. They don't have another alternatives from their daily activities or their survival. And then the local support would be more realistic if you can bring the some sustainable community benefit to the communities on surroundings. For example, if you have some activities like ecotourism, that the population will depend it, and then the tourism will depend on biodiversity within the forest or any given ecosystem you have to protect. If they see benefit from the ecosystem, now surely they participate in its protection because they know by protecting X area, now this is they continue to harvest for long from the children and the grandchildren. And then it's in that context we thought now designing an innovative project, and then we were thinking of introducing the community butterfly farming at the site. This is site is Ibanda Makera, the one that's a pilot study. And then why did we choose among other maybe possible projects? Why did we choose the butterflies? It's because from experience we had from our neighboring countries, you have experience from this is the study by Ian Gordon. It's even the one who was the first to think in introducing the butterfly farming here in Rwanda, but he tried it in Tanzania and Kenya. And then this one, his project was successful. The local population was really supporting the forest through the pupa selling. That's the pupa from butterflies. They were rearing on the surrounding of the forest. And then this pupa were sold to exhibit. Uh, this is industry exhibit butterfly houses. There is some of those who have already visited the butterfly exhibiting house. You go there, you find some butterflies, they flying in the confined places. And normally, how the system works, if you go from the entry fees, you pay money, and then with the money you pay, you sustain the exhibiting house. And also the supply, the pupa you will be having, they come from the local community. Like that, the local community will benefit from the money, and because they know the money they're getting from pupa, they comes from the forest. Now it motivates them to protect the forest, not to destroy them, because the continuous benefit they'll be having. And then not only this is the income from these butterflies, but we have seen there are some indigenous trees that are the food of those butterflies. The people, when they are motivated, they can even plant them in their own farms, and then on their lands. Like that, they will be contributing also to the cool to climate change, maybe as means of mitigation through carbon sequestration. By planting those trees, they will be heavily, very importantly, contributing to climate change mitigation. If we take an example from the Ibanda Makera, the region is experiencing more drought than the other region in a country. If the butterfly is brought there, and then if it becomes successful, it will motivate people to plant the trees in their own lands without any force, without maybe any obligation from the government. Now they own the activities. That at the same time, they will be getting the pupa and also contribute to climate change mitigation. And then they see the experience from in our neighboring countries where Ian tried this butterfly farming in Kenya and Tanzania. The people got some revenue through selling those butterflies to exhibit house, and mostly they were exporting in Europe. And then with X amount, this is there was a good revenue, because one papa was sold about 50 and the 1 point USD, 1.5 USD, depending on species, because all species they don't cost the same. Now, from this experience from the Ian, and then I can even tell the Ian was here in Rwanda at the beginning of this project. It's the one who initiated this idea of introducing the butterfly farming from the experience he had in the neighboring countries. And then the main idea was to start this. Yeah, the some noise, please. Lena, Lena, can you ask some people to mute their mic? Yeah. Now from these incomes, and then we thought plotting the butterfly farming at the Ibanda Makera, because they from Kenya, also they have the some of the dry region, and but also the major problem we wanted to try the feasibility study. It was this is the forest. It's very important for biodiversity conservation, because if you go there, you can find even endangered, we don't know, endangered species, but also the issue of climate change in that region. Now, like that, we designed the project. We thought designing a project of butterfly farming, and the main aim of the project was to train the people, the local population around this fragment forest. And then about the butterfly farming, they to train them, to keep them with knowledge and all skills required to learn a butterfly farming enterprises. And then by the butterfly farming, we motivate them to support the remnant forest, and then sustain its biodiversity for the future use. Now, specifically, because we don't know the biodiversity within the forest, the objective we had from the project was first to document which butterfly species are there. And then we see whether from those existing butterflies, we have the one that are suitable for exhibition, that we can rear for exhibition house. And then normally all butterflies, they are not used in an exhibition house. We use, if someone has visited the exhibit house from butterflies, you find they use the butterfly that are big in size. They have a beautiful color to attract the tourists, and also their flight, they can fly slowly so that the visit can see them. If those who are experienced in butterflies, they have some knowledge in butterflies, we know there are some butterflies that fly very quick. That's the Charaxine Caraxes. When they fly, you can't see them. They very fast. And there are others that they fly very slowly and a big size and they're very beautiful colors. That is the one they targeted for butterfly exhibit house. And then knowing the diversity of butterflies, but we wanted also to assess the socioeconomic situation, the status of the community around the forest. Because if you want, if you run a project, you can see first if someone is getting more money, maybe per day, than selling a pupa, which was maybe, if take an example for Rwanda and France, if I can randomly say 500 or 50 cents, and then a while if someone can get 10 maybe USD a day, that one can't be involved in butterfly farming. And then we wanted to know the social economics, the situation of the people and surroundings, and to see whether they have willingness or to motivate them, they can be motivated to participate or not. And then lastly, we wanted now to train on some of existing methods, we know, from the butterfly breeding and rearing, and then we adapted to the local condition there, and then we trained them. Having said this one, and then we try to implement the project. For those who knows the Nikirehe district, this project was in Nikirehe district. This is Impanga sector and the natural cells, and this region is located to the border with Tanzania, this around with the Akagera River. From the map, you can see where it's located. And I think someone who is not who is not familiar with the Rwandan ecosystem, you can find within Africa, and then we see the location of the site where we went. This site has this is gallery forest, and then another part is the savanna woodland. And then when we went there for the purpose of the project, we needed first to talk to local authorities to ask their permission. They have to know what we came for. And then also to mobilize the community. And then you start by explaining them the aim of the project. Because most of the time, this is the idea of butterfly farming. It was the first now trial in Rwanda. And then we wanted to maybe to talk to local communities before what is the butterfly farming, what will be maybe the benefits and how it will be done like this. This way we introduced the project with the local communities. They have their meetings, and then we are invited during their meetings, their maybe monthly meetings. And then we went there, we explained them, we talked to them a little bit about the project. And then the next phase, that was the data collection, we started discussing with them through focal group discussion, and then discussing with them to get their perception or their attitude about the forests, and then also their willingness to participate in butterfly farming. And later, we designed the survey, a semi-structured survey, and then we interview. And then we to have some data on their socio-economic aspect, and later this one was analyzed by the both qualitative and the quantitative techniques. Now, for butterflies, we went in a forest to make survey to know which species existing there. And then we have two techniques. We use the hand net. You run after a butterfly, you catch it, and then mostly we make identification on the field if you know that, and you release the specimen, the individual you caught. If you don't know it, we kept them in those envelopes. You can see that is the Constante, my colleague, were on a field in a forest. That is the butterfly that the two categories. There is some they feed on uh, rotting fruits. We use the baited traps, and then you can see from the baited traps, we have to prepare a bait, and mostly was made of bananas, and we mix with pineapple, sugar, and then we ferment for maybe from 2 days up to 1 month or something, is more than 1 month. And then this was producing a good bait with alcohol that was attracting the fruit feeding butterflies. This is a trap we used, and then we caught some specimen, we store them for later identification. And then after, we also documented the host plant for the butterfly species we found there. And then this was got, this is the host plant was got from this website. We know there is the World Lepidoptera host plant. And after, we tried to make some of the indigenous host plants to take example of purpose. And then we tried to make a nursery locally there. Those who knows Kinyarwanda, you can see it's written in Ndabo z'ibinyugunyugu. And then after, we tried to plant them on no perimeter of Ibanda Makera. And so that this the host plant, they should be used for the project and also for the future. Now, it comes now to the training of the local communities. And we first tried to explain the life cycle, because some of the communities, they were the first time they saw the butterflies, but they couldn't know where the butterflies came from. Some were thinking maybe they have the small offspring, the viviparous, or they like cows or what, or hens. And then we try to explain to them, if you have a butterflies like an adult, so you go on a plant and then lay some eggs, you show them some of the eggs on how to plant. And then we were training now to cover egg, the eggs with maybe you can use a mesh or some with the or a cage you can find. This one is very important, because when you have this egg, when it hatches, it will be having these caterpillars. The caterpillars, from those who know the Kinyarwanda, they call them ibinyabwoya. And then they were surprised to know that the caterpillars, the ibinyabwoya in Kinyarwanda, they are the one who grow up and then give the butterflies. And then from the training, we trained them from the adult butterflies. They saw the egg, we cover them, and then they saw the chinyabuya, the caterpillar, and then we saw them how they are feeding on specific host plant. The one we planted, we showed them. This is, for example, this one. You can see how the caterpillar is feeding on this plant, and normally they feed on leaves. And then after feeding, they'll be moving, and then they started to do what we call pupation. And then those who knows Kinyarwanda, it's like what we use it to call mudakobitwa, but it's not, it's mudakobitwa for butterflies. That is Kinyarwanda, the pupa for butterflies. And then after, this pupa is the one now the people will be selling to the exhibit house. And then you take this one, for example, I can anticipate a little bit. If you have this one, the pupa, it will take around 10 days, and then we'll be finding adult butterflies will emerge from this one. And then these butterflies will fly, it's free, and then it will go on host plant, lay eggs, and then the cycle will continue. That's the reason why the host plant, they are very important. And then if you cut them, you are automatically eliminating the butterflies which you are using it at a host plant. And then from there are two categories. We tried to train them. There's a butterfly rearing in a cage, as you can see here in the left. You blink, you go in nature, you find the egg or you find the caterpillar, and then you collect them, you bring them at home in your house. But you'll be obliged to feed it daily, and then cleaning the fecal material it is making. And then this one, it requires a lot of work. And then after this one, this was the cooperative. We selected some people from the cooperative who were being trained. And then also we have another techniques. We train them to farm this rearing butterflies on live tree. That is less expensive, and then the mostly it's where it has been applied. It's the most applied, and then it's chosen by the local community. It's very easy. You find egg on a plant, and then what you do, it's just covering on live tree, and then you wait, and then you'll be having a caterpillars. But when the caterpillar like this one, you see the feeding there, and by after from the egg, mostly what we have found, this is anticipation on result. From the Ibanda Makera, it was about 16 days to 17. And then you have the pupa I showed you here. And then from this pupa, you find it on trees, and then you can collect, and then you sell it without without much work or much your time. It's just finding the egg, and then you cover, and then you will come to collect the pupa for selling. That's less time, less more effort, more activities you may make there. Now, from this training, what you have did or what you have found, this is overall finding. What I can present what we have for social, ecological, socio-economic data. We found this is the majority of local communities around Ibanda. They own lands, which is very positive. Maybe if you wanted to farm those butterflies, we need someone who has land, and then you see the majority they own land, and then the majority also they have their agriculture as their main activities, which is a strength. Maybe we hope if you are farming now, it will be easy to find those eggs, and then you cover them. You can produce. If they own lands, and then inside this one, they don't have mostly they don't have the some agroforestry trees. If they are participating in farming this, participating in butterfly farming, they can now plant this host plant in their farms, and then like that they be yielding pupa, and then contribute to climate mitigation. That is good findings, maybe promising finding from the population around there. Another thing, from the revenue, we found about 60, they don't have any livestock, and no chicken, no rabbit. That is also, that is motivate. I don't know if I can say they are poor, but if someone doesn't have maybe a livestock to look after, maybe to collect for further, and sometimes he would have more time to maybe to participate in butterflies. This is my assumption. Now, when we ask them about the forest, how do they see the forest? If they judge it really important for its protection, we find that the most population, most of the people the sample size we took, you agreed somehow, they agreed that the protection is very important for this forest. You can see the range from this perception. And then even there is one tradition healers who told us the forest is it's his neighbor for more than 40 years. And then he told us even he used to collect some butterfly for medicinal practices. He didn't tell us what they treat, but he said the forest really is very useful for medicinal plant. And then from the for the 40 years he has been there practicing the this is the traditional medicines. The forest was very helpful. You can see from this graph, the majority of people they support, they see the forest as important, and then they strengthen for its protection. And the some, maybe I can anticipate here, the some they mentioned the issue of crop raiding, like there we have some primate, but they say nobody say the forest should be cleared and then they plant the maybe agro crops to avoid the crop raiding. Every majority were supporting the idea or the intervention made by the government of protecting the forest. And then they have been introduced to butterfly farming. They have been shown how to raise them, the activity, the effort they will be making, the roughly the idea what they can gain. And then you ask them how they see their perception about butterfly farming. And then we found the majority were positive. The perception about butterfly farming. They said it was first time to hear this, but they agreed that the butterfly will be a good an opportunity for both forest protection and also the economic benefits. And the others also they found that will be really relaxing activities that will be fun, interesting, as they say. And then this findings is promising. It shows once the butterfly farming is established there, enterprise established there, really the community should participate and then anticipated the outcome we want, protecting the forest and then also the increasing their livelihood can be achieved. And then about the butterflies, what did we find? This is the preliminary list what we found. It's around 112 species, and then they are published there. And also the host plant we documented in 91, but among them the 75, the 79, they are indigenous food plants. That's the one for priority when we go to plant, because the current policy with the climate change mitigation, we want to make a priority. This is non, this is the native plant. And then we tried also to plant some host plant as a model for, and they also we trained this is the pilot communities group on butterfly in the cooperatives on butterfly rearing. And then the test, the pilot study we are doing was a successful, meaning we were able now to locate the adult butterflies and find their eggs and then cover them until they produce the pupa. That is the pupa now they produced from the project. And then we waited also if someone wanted to know how the butterflies they get out image from the pupa. If you see those pupa there, this is I have to show you one butterflies imaging from the pupa how it looks like. You see the wings there; they are not yet functioning. It's trying to pump some of the what I can call blood, and then to get to straight it, and then so that it can fly. Look at here. That is, but at this stage, it's where you have in a exhibition house, because the pupa it's the one you take, you pull, you store them in a wall, and then you sell them in a container. That's one the cage. You can see a lot of pupa, and then butterfly was there, emerging from the pupa. This is normally from their curiosity what we wanted, but at this stage of pupa, you have a product to sell. Once the market is very available. Now, that's one. The test, the pilot study was very successful as we were expecting. And then from these findings, we we see there is some recommendation we made. If it's possible, we can establish a butterfly farming enterprise around the threatened ecosystems. So from Rwanda for biodiversity conservation, as I explained, and the climate change mitigation, and starting from the region which are experiencing more drought than others. And also, if it's possible, we have some protected areas in Rwanda, and let's take examples. If there we have the some ongoing, maybe restoration of wetland in Kigali, as we have in Nyandungu, Maybe you can establish any butterfly exhibition house, and then to serve as a, maybe to buy the pupa from the local community once the butterfly farming enterprise is established there. And then this goes beyond our capacity as researchers, but this one is advocacy from the policymakers. They can see the feasibility, we show them this is the output, and then they can examine it to see whether it's possible. And then this also butterflies exhibit should serve, if you take example in Kigali, this is in a urban area, we have a lot of children from education purpose. This can serve for ecotourism, and then education purpose is especially for small children. If they are educated young, they can grow with the idea of biodiversity, and then they can contribute effectively in conservation. That is a recommendation we make. And we can think also the use of the documented species, because the forest is and it has been restored, but it is continuing the restoration process by planting some native species, because the butterflies, they are good indicators of ecosystem change, including if there is change in environment or the habitat quality. And then this first list of butterflies we got from this project should be used to track the change over time, either restoration success, or if there is some threat or the environment or the habitat is being degraded. Now, this is normally briefly what we found, but I can't end without maybe acknowledging the support we got through the University of Rwanda and the Rwanda Environment Management Authority. And also we thank Ian Gordon, because he's the one who started the butterfly farming in Africa. He starts in Kenya and Tanzania. And then when he arrived in Rwanda, he observed the ecosystems with the challenge, the conservation challenge. He was the one to bring this idea of butterfly farming. And he started the project. Unfortunately, he left it to his country, his home country in Europe. And then he left as the team. We continued the project, and then we brought it to the end. And then I can thank you, everybody. If you have, there is some idea, input, suggestion of how this maybe this was a feasibility study, how can we establish this butterfly farming in Rwanda, or more deep research related to this topic or related to conservation in general, comments and input or questions, they are welcome. And then I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jean Dodier. Really, we appreciate your work on the butterfly farming. Of course, it's a new innovative approach to conserve our threatened forest, especially here in Rwanda. Before we start receiving comments or questions, I would like to suggest that people who are in non-conducive environment, in a noisy environment, they can chat their questions here in chat, and then people who are free or in good environment, they can ask directly through here. So allow me to start receiving or accepting the questions or comments from the panel. Thank you very much. Let us start with Isabelle Jacqueline, and then we go straight to Vena. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think you all can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I have a question. I have a question about the caterpillars. How, like, we know in Kinyarwanda we call it like kubabwa. How do you manage, like, if I think they may have like some chemicals, and I have a question. How do you manage those chemicals with if they don't harm the ecosystem or the people or who are being trained, or even by you as a researchers, how have you managed those chemicals from the caterpillars before they change to the butterflies? Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jacqueline. Jado, maybe you can you will be answering one by one or at least two.
I don't know. It depends on.
Rate us at least they have two questions and then you answer them all together.
Yeah,
Vena, can you ask the question as well so Jean de Dieu can answer the questions?
Yes, thank you very much. My question is about the potential market for those caterpillars. In his presentation, he said that potential buyers are people who do butterfly exhibits. First of all, I have a question about the market here in Rwanda. If we have those people who uh, can just buy them, just I'm wondering about the demand, also about the cost or the price. So we know whether the work can pay itself in terms of money. Thank you very much.
yeah. Enrico Constante, thank you. And then I think maybe I take one by one because my memory is not good.
Okay, okay, no problem, no problem.
Yeah, that's the first one is the caterpillar humming. Maybe the Chinyarwanda, those who knows the Chinyarwanda, the caterpillar they have hairs. The binyabwoya ni Chinyarwanda kubaba abantu. And then they ingonokira, the something that's all those are caterpillars of butterflies. And then if they how did we manage to prevent them? The one who asked the question, you remember in a countryside, we use our traditional medicines. When the Chinyabwoya the kubaba, this is the this is the hairs. They remove their hairs on your skin, and then you have something like a irritation. You start scratching on your skin. But we use it to use it to have ash. But not all caterpillars they have the hairs. Have you seen? For example, the one we have from African queen butterflies, they don't have hairs. But we apply our local knowledge. Ash from the ash is evil in Kinyarwanda. If someone who has a question, if you go in a countryside and then Chinyabwa chikakubaba with the hairs, you start having some irritation. Nowadays, you start scratching. You apply the ash, you grab on the region, and then it goes. Now, the other one, normally, this is the hairs from the caterpillar. That is it's able to maybe penetrate on your skin. But when you take them with inside the hands, because the skin is keratinized, they can't harm you. And for rearing, because when you put there are species, maybe I didn't mention, there are some species, the big species, the papilio, or that's depending on someone who knows. But most of them, they are caterpillar, they are harmful. This is the what we use it to maybe to scare. The most of people when they see the caterpillar, they are scared. But when you cover them with the cage, and then they have food, and then I think you can't be there is no worry. And then if you know anything, something is a if you see there's something now, it's from its literature, this species the hairs is harming. Now you take some precaution to manage it or to handle it. Yeah. Now this is the second one. It's this is for still on butterflies. It's as if you can say all snakes they are venomous. There are some snakes they are very friendly. There is no problem. You have them as a pet. But if you have the like mamba, the cobra, now my goodness, you have to manage them. If it comes, there are some butterflies, there are some caterpillars, they are very harmful to human. You need some techniques to handle them. But mostly what we were rearing, they were no problem. They were not causing a problem. And then if you go back as awareness in your countryside, I remember when I was young, I used the ash to cure the this is the irritation from their hairs. And then about Ibanda, you are asking about the potential market. Yeah, this is the big, as you see from my recommendation, this was a feasibility study. This is from Ian. Ian started, this is butterfly farming in Kenya and Tanzania. And then this is the market was normally from the Europe. You see from the Europe, they have the butterflies from tropical region where you have a big size and very, very beautiful. But from us, we have, for example, in Rwanda, we have the Musambi village. There is some trial. They have the small one. I visited it. I found it 3 species, only 3 species in their greenhouse. And I think if they increase, the reason they have the 3 species, it's because rearing to find the food, the host plant of those butterflies, and they rearing them. It's really, I don't know from them, it's their choice, but it's very challenging because each species of a butterfly, it has its specific host plant. Now it will be better. Now, if you have an open area like around the protected areas where the people they will be farming different species, and then you buy the pupa, and then from the exhibit house you will be having a variety of species. It's a problem for us. Now, this is the reason I say this was to test to see whether we can breed and then you reach the stage of selling a pupa. This is feasibility study. And then our study showed at Ibanda Makera, the butterfly rearing, it's possible. Now, the advocacy remains on policymakers. If, as I was recommending, around the protected area, if you put the some exhibition house, the visitors, they can come and then they pay the money, and then from the money you buy the pupa from the local community, and then the community will sustain the all threatened ecosystems. For the moment, I can't tell you when will we have a market, because that is beyond my uh, maybe my ability to say the market will come from here. And this is from the beginning. We have maybe to go and then to make the awareness. We can go to the Akajira also. I know Akajira, they have the greenhouse, but it's not yet started. If you tell them, this is the finding also was shared, that there is a potential where they can have a market. They can have this is the provision of a pupa. Maybe they can be willing to buy and start running their exhibition house. And normally this is for now, frankly speaking, this is the research was showing the feasibility, and then the implementation has it. Okay, yes, Bena.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jado.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am satisfied by your answers,
Mm-hmm.
but I also get a thought in my mind that
Mm-hmm.
we can also explore some potential areas to establish those butterfly exhibits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking particularly for the scientific and education purposes, either for high school students and also university students,
Mm-hmm.
because I know we had a butterfly house at the herbarium, and some of us were very happy to see it, to learn about how people breed the butterflies and how they produce such beautiful butterflies. Maybe that can be also something great if we have the opportunity to do that or convince some people to do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I thank you very much. As we have a hybrid model of questions, I would like also to welcome the question from David Biringiro on the chat.
Mm-hmm.
He asked, his question is, how does butterfly farming releasing a proportion of farmed individuals back to the wild affect local wild butterfly population dynamics and genetic diversity in Rwanda?
Yeah, that is. Thank you, David, for the question. Normally, once the butterfly enterprise is established, the all produced pupa are not sold. You can have this is after the beginning. You need the time to monitor. That is the reason why before implementing any project, you have a baseline data. We need the population. We have to know the population of the world population of the butterfly existing there. And then when it starts, you remember the egg will be getting from the wild population. We plant, you can plant a tree in your own farm, but the butterflies from the forest will come to lay egg on that tree. And then it's you can't take all, because if you take all the pupa you produced, now you sell them, that will be a problem with the wild population. Now they will be monitoring, you assess, and then you see there is a few, a given population you release, you reach it, hatch, and then you release them back in nature. And then so that it's like it's as if you have a forest, or when you go there and you cut all the trees. No, you have to select the some that are mature to be yielded, and then you leave the some. Normally, in the context of Rwanda, we don't have to take when they have a market for the selling the pupa. We can't sell all the pupa we produce. If some pollution will be released in back to the nature, and then we have to conduct also regular monitoring in the forest to see where if there is a change of population over time. I don't know if now David Biringiro is satisfied.
Thank you very much, Jado. We have the second question from the chat. The second question is, what ethical concerns arise when wildlife is commercialized for human livelihoods, even under conservation goals? That's the question from Wimana Ernest.
Yeah. And then this is you, Ernest, for the conservation. That is the good conservation, not preserve, is the protection. If you protect something, you see, keep it there, don't touch it. But from the sustainable conservation, the people also they have to, maybe you protect something, but you are allowed to yield. You have the benefit. If you have a forest, and then you say for the local community, you say nobody is allowed to enter in, maybe to look for some medicinal plant. That is not conservation we are doing. It's a protection. And then this is not effective because by the time you are not there, now everything you protected, now it can be destroyed. And then if we are selling, normally you have to be sure this is the commercial for the population we are making around the forest, because the forest was the only source of income they have. That's the reason why they go in, and then the resources are less, and then the people are many. Now you compete for resources, and then you destroy the forest. Now that is the reason why from this, like butterflies, if you raise them, you sell some, and the others you release back to the nature, and then there is no problem. That's it equal concern as maybe if you tell this torture or something else, but I think it can't create a problem because the conservation is a benefit for human beings. If they are not benefiting, I don't know. There is no way in a sustainable way for today or for the future. You can think whatever you're protecting, it will last for longer.
Thank you very much, Jado. If there is no direct question from the panel, we can proceed with chat questions. We have a question from Marie-Christine Gasingirwa. The question is, do local communities appreciate the rearing of butterfly without problems? Are there any immediate benefits of this rearing that could be act as incentives so that many of them would be encouraged to venture in the production. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Christine, for this good question. And then normally, as I said, when we went there, was the first time, not only from the local population at Rwanda, even in the whole country in Rwanda. I say this is the first idea of butterfly farming. We said this, we got an idea from the Ian Gordon, who tried this farming in Kenya and Tanzania. And then Ian Gordon was living here in Rwanda. And then observing the same, maybe threat from the protection of the forests, and then the threats from the high population and also the climate variability. And then that is the reason why we try, our research, our project was this, is to test, to pilot in it, to test this feasibility of study. We wanted to go to meet the people and then to see whether they have willingness to participate. And then from the research or my own observation when we were there, the people really appreciate. And then the rearing butterflies, there was no problem. It was funny. They say like, it is funny activities to see them. And then for the first time to come to know the caterpillar, the chinyabwa will give egg butterflies, and observing yourself from the egg to the flying butterflies was really a funny, or this is adventure activities they enjoyed. And then even from the survey we conducted, you saw from the result, everybody was thinking, we explained them how in neighboring countries like in Kenya and Tanzania, after they raise them, we've raised intense, maybe much time. There is nothing. There is maybe I can't say nothing, but there is less effort you are investing. It's just observing the egg and then you cover. And then knowing that the import from the in Kenya, it was 50 cents, between 50 and 1.2 USD or 5. This is a huge amount. If you see it from the population, 60% they don't own any livestock. Now you can imagine now they are earn per month. That was really, we saw them with really activity. That's the people they say they should be participating. If the market is available now to establish these butterfly enterprises. If you are sitting there, you can get one pupa, and then from the experiment, you can produce for a single small tree, you can produce more than 50, 20 pupas or 30. It can even reach 50, depending on no eggs you have found or no on host plant.
Thank you very much, Jado, for your answers. Let us continue. The question is from the chat. Providence Wanyirigira has a question. By your analysis, which risks do you think you will meet, and what are the proposal responses measures do you plan? Thank you.
The risk in implementing the butterfly farming. Yeah, the first one is normally the problem, the first one is the market, because if you introduce an activity and then the population should be, if they start producing and they don't find a market for selling their product, that will be really really challenging. But for the moment, you can't establish an enterprise on butterfly farming if you don't have a market. For the moment, what you have to know, to share with each of us following this presentation, it's a advocacy where it's possible, and then to talk to the competent authorities, and then to see the finding you have found, and then if they are willing now to help to establish the exhibition house, and so that we can help with the research, and then in producing pupa, and like that we can conserve both biodiversity and also increase the livelihood of our population. For the moment, because it's not yet started, but we can anticipate, we see the challenges we are finding there. Mostly challenging will be market.
Thank you very much, Jado.
Hello, can I have a question, please?
Let's accept the question from Steve Taifa.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the good presentation and giving us overview. I personally am from University of Rwanda, especially in the circular economy model. So that's actually what we are working on. So my question regards really this something it's a very new sector. I've heard it, but my concern was about in Rwanda, whenever every business is being introduced, you have regulatory bodies, which sometimes becomes a constraint. So I was asking myself, if you go into butterfly farming or caterpillar farming, what are the regulatory bodies, or like I know RDB is very strict on the protection of wildlife and other ecosystem protections and kind of things. So I'm asking myself, what are the certification procedures of all these enterprise in case somebody happen to start? Thank you.
Thank you, Taifa. And then I think this one, for this research, for this feasibility study, we were looking at whether it's feasible in one of our region in Rwanda. And then when it comes to the implementation, we wanted to establish there are some rules, the requirement. We started from the RDB because it's the one in charge of the wildlife. And also we can, for the moment, I can't list, we'll be going through this and this and this. But when there is some more willingness to establish a butterfly exhibition here in Rwanda, either in a protected area or elsewhere for research or for education purposes, as we mentioned, or for ecotourism. And then when it comes to implement the farming as in enterprises, we have to go through the regulation with the wildlife and the safety, ethical concern, and also with the environment. We see whether there is no uh, maybe hazard for to the environment. But there is from the butterfly farming, there is nothing new you are adding. It's just the host plant like it was in nature, and I think it can't be a big problem. But for the moment, if you as you are as everybody is planning to run a business, there are some more rules or the pathway you have to follow. In a case it will be the time for to implement will be go through a screen, we go through all requirements until we are allowed, and then we fulfill all requirements to establish a such business. For the moment, it's only what I can tell you.
Thank you very much. I think we are at the end. But before we end our presentation, let us take two or one question. Let us take two questions from the chat. Let us start with question from Simon Muhaimana. How many butterfly host plant species have you planted around Ibanda Makera for this feasibility study? And if you planted some, what butterfly species do you expect to lay eggs on them? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. Now, from this research, we saw maybe 79 this indigenous host plant for the butterfly we documented in Makera. But from those, the total, it's all we have also the sum. This is the list of plant includes also the some small plant or that are not suitable for exhibition. But from the exhibition, we have the someone who knows that there are big butterflies like papilio, and then you have Danaus crispus, the common one, African queen butterfly. Maybe someone can go to Google and write African queen butterfly. You will see how it's very beautiful. And then normally we didn't plant many host plant, but we tried with the Gomphocarpus, which is the host plant of African queen butterfly. And then if now we get more facilities, or this is the enterprises on butterfly farming is established, we know the host plant, and then we can make nursery, and then we can also conduct awareness to the people, or we start ourselves planting around the remnant forest. and then the population can plant, the local communities can plant in their own farms. For the feasibility study, we started by the only simple one. We chose the Gomphocarpus because this one is you can plant it within any agro, maybe your crops, your beans, and anything else you are planting. It doesn't have any effect on your land. And then we chose this even also for the selected butterfly species because it was the most found there, and then most beautiful for in the context of Rwanda. If you people they are not familiar with it, but write African queen butterfly on Google and you see the image. It's just a trial we tried with, but we can extend it if the maybe the possibility or the facility allows.
Thank you very much. Uh, Let us have a last question from Tuishime Gracier. I would like to know if all butterfly species can be managed in the same farm or house. What species do you recommend farmers, and what are other plant species host them?
Yeah, good question, Gracier. That means the all butterflies you can't they can be managed the same. Now, this is I say from the exhibition, you choose the butterfly with big size, and then with the beautiful, with that are beautiful, the color, size, beautiful, and then the flight mode. How do they fly? If they are very quick, now those ones that are not suitable for exhibition. You select. I told you if maybe you have some knowledge in butterflies, you can have the papilio de modecus. You can have papilio. The some of the papilionidae they are very big. Nereus, they fly very slow and they are very big. Because if I bring a tourist, what is interesting for a tourist is just to see it, and then to see the color, to see it in the size, and then to see how it's flying. Now, not all butterflies they can be selected for farming. We have some recommended one, and also those mostly used in the butterfly exhibit. See the one we can also plot at Ibanda Makera, depending on the market, because the people they ask you a pupa of a given species because it's the one the people they like to see in the exhibition house. If I come back, I was telling you the butterflies you can go in the forest. You see some the small one they are flying on the ground, but there is some on the top on the canopy. They are very fast flying. You can't see them. That's the reason why if you wanted to make a diversity inventory, you go and you trap them. The reason why I was using bait. With the bait, you find the very big butterflies, but which is not suitable for exhibition because it flies it flies very quick, so that you don't have time to see it. And then from those one, it's only the selected, and each species we have from the maybe if someone is interested, if you select any species from the list I gave you for the publication is there, right? Maybe Ibanda Makera butterflies, it's published. There is someone who has asked maybe to provide the link where we can have a publication. I can give it, or you can go to the Google Scholar, you write butterflies or write Ibanda Makera. In Google Scholar, you will find the paper is open access, is free.
Thank you very much, Jado. I would like to welcome our director, the director of the CoEB, to give us today's remarks and takeaways from today's seminar. Thank you very much. Welcome, our director.
Yeah, thank you, Constante. Good afternoon, colleagues. There is no remarks. I would simply want to thank Dr. Jean Dodier for this fantastic and wonderful presentation and provision of knowledge about butterflies. We used to see them flying in our gardens, but we did not know that they have all this interesting information that Dr. Jean Dodier shared with us. Dr. Jean Dodier, thank you very much for your presentation. I also thank all of the participants who attended this research seminar. It's really a great joy for us when we see you joining us for sharing your expertise and knowledge. Thank you all for attending this seminar. I am sorry I did not manage to start with you as I was attending another meeting, but from the time I joined you, I was really impressed by the number of participants, but also by the presentation of Dr. Jean Dodier. I take this opportunity to welcome any of you who is having the presentation or research to share with us. You are warmly welcome. You've been in touch with those, with Constante and Vena, and then we schedule you for the presentation. So thank you very much. I would like to stop here. Then we stay in touch for the next opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. As we are concluding today's session of seminar presentation, I would like to encourage people to fill the form in the chat. It will take like 1 minute, so that in the next seminars we update you for the new presentations. I would also personally like to appreciate all of you to attend today's session. And we give many thanks to Dr. Jean Dodier for his work. His work is very crucial for biodiversity conservation. Biodiversity are on the threat of being extinct, but due to these innovative approaches we are bringing, we hope in the near future we will regain our intact biodiversity. So thank you very much all. I think you can end our presentation here. And if Jean Dodier has 1 or 2 things to tell us, can express himself. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, all of you. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Constante. And then this is what I have. It's to thank everybody for your time and then listening to me. And then also the exchange we have. And then we keep in touch, sharing a lot of knowledge and then to protect our biodiversity. And in this note is anthropogenic dominated landscape, like in Rwanda. Effort of everybody is needed. And thank you for once now. Next time when I'll be having a new finding on conservation related issues, and then I contact you myself to share with you if interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As we are ending this session, I would like to request everyone to open his camera and say bye. Thank
you.
That's nice, Constante. Yeah, let me open mine. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us today.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Vena.